Although I've been around horses all my life, there's nothing quite like getting up close and personal to an absolute champion. This is Jonbon, who we will be seeing on Sky Sports Racing going for the Clarence House. So obviously, we're here at Seven Barrows, Nicky Henderson's star-packed stable. And we're going to have a look round and hear about some of the other great horses in the yard. You must be delighted the way the horses have been running.
That was a good sort of period over Christmas. We were a bit slow earlier on, but no, it's good.
Obviously, we're looking forward to now to the Berkshire Winter Millions, and it's just a great concept. Of course, you went galloping round Windsor recently. How did you find all of that?
I think it's tremendous. It's great to see something like this happening in this modern day of sort of, I don't know. It's a big bonus. It's a big sort of incentive too. It always was a really good track. I mean, whether it's in its final sort of setup, I don't know. There's always room to tweak, but you know, it's a lot of initiative, and you know, I could, you know, through the Lingfield days, set up this meeting, and now it's sort of reaching its climax in that, you know, 3 days with Ascot in the middle.
That's quite extraordinary, really, for them to all amalgamate. It's been brilliant, I think.
I think it's fantastic, and I mean, I think it's £40 for a ticket for all 3 days. Now that's incredible value.
We're obviously looking forward to the Berkshire Winter Millions. Windsor 2 days and Ascot, and you did rather well at Windsor as a trainer, didn't you?
I did, yeah. I mean, I actually had a double, which is that's probably the only 2 winners I had all that year. But yeah, I think a little horse called Helena, and then probably the nicest horse I trained was a Pall Mall horse of Jim Cromiak's called Native Charm. She won a novice hurdle there in the days. I think it's probably about 19.
Quite a long time ago. But the boss seems really happy to be back racing at Windsor, and I think everybody is jumping.
Yeah, I think so. It's a lovely track, isn't it? And it's close to London, and it's even close to Lambourne and all those sort of trainers. So it's very convenient. It's a very fair track. It's probably a bit sharp around the top bend, but the boys used to get around it when it was a figure of 8. So I don't really see what anyone's complaining about now. And yeah, no, it's a great track.
Yeah, and the boss seems very positive about, you know, that he's going to have runners there. You know, he said he
will, absolutely. We used to have runners there when it was there before. He always supported it. I can remember, you know, sending quite a lot of horses down here when I worked for him in my previous incarnation. But no, he always liked it then. I can't see why he won't support it now as well. Yeah.
Ascot was off last year because they'd moved. The Clarence House had to be rerun, or was rerun at Cheltenham the following on Trials Day. It's an important race. You know, it's one of those great ones in the calendar for the 2-mile chasers. And I don't know how many years ago, it wasn't that long ago, when we had that Energenin and Shishkin had probably one of the great races.
It was absolutely brilliant, wasn't it?
It was terrific.
Closing the gap with every stride. Energemen and Shishkin, this is what we wanted. And Shishkin delivers and beats Energemen.
There was one quite a long while back, Izio and Azertiope. And they had a fantastic battle one day, and there was nothing in it the whole way. Sort of goes back to the Bustino Grundy days and things like that. Those really great.
Because this year was tiny, wasn't he?
He wasn't very big. No, he wasn't. He was a little terrier. But no, I remember it was one of the epics. We've been very lucky. We've had those good 2-milers over these last few years, and so the Clarence House has been very much part of their programme, always using it.
And would that be a consideration for Jonbon, or?
Oh, it is the plan.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I mean, the plan is very much the same as last year, and we started in the Schlur, then the Tingle Creek, then the Clarence House, but that actually got switched to Ascot, was from Ascot to Cheltenham, but unfortunately that was the day it didn't quite. I mean, he just got beaten, but he made a terrible mistake. So, you know, it was a moral victory, but it was unfortunate. But Ascot should suit. I don't see why not.
He's one of those horses that the media always seem to think, always the reason why he's going to get beat. But he's a winning machine, isn't he?
Yeah, he's done very little wrong over the last 3 seasons. I mean, he keeps going forward, and he's becoming very professional. I say, but we're not even getting ourselves in a state before the race, which must be a good thing. He's got so much better. He used to be a dreadful fidget, and just anything if you do to change his routine, and you flummox him. But as long as you just stick to the routine, and we will school him. But I mean, the only time Nico will ever sit on him is Paddy, who rides him every day.
Is that key as well?
It's vital, but he's got to do it to school him. But I mean, Paddy gets off him, literally, and Nico gets on, faces him at 5 fences, and Paddy's at the other end to get back on.
Like any relationship, Paddy, it's got to work for both of you. And you and this horse, Jonbon, just seem to get on brilliantly.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. I've been with him since day one. So I've been riding him 4 years now the other day. So yeah, he's a pleasure to ride every day. He absolutely loves the game, as you can see.
he came here he won his point to point, and just the way that he's bred, obviously.
Yeah.
He came here with a huge reputation.
Yeah, and to get on a horse like this is a privilege, to ride him every day. And I only started here, and I came here to ride good horses, and I landed on him, and I've been in with him every step of the way. So
you say it was a pleasure, but when you first came here, he was a
he was a bit of a nightmare every day. He just
in what way?
He wasn't naughty. He just got sweaty, and the first day I rode him, I was like, oh, what am I in for here? But he just clicked. The governor was happy enough to let me do whatever I want with him every day, and I don't go into the school, bring him out around the set aside, and he just loves it. He just loves being out in the open. He loves galloping, just loves his job.
He's renowned as a bit of a live wire, and you see him at home, and you can see that. But he's sort of changed on the track when you've almost racing behind the bridle now.
I think we've got him sussed fairly well. I mean, early in the year, he's a little bit less amenable. But we then start taking him for away days, which do take the fizz out of him, even if you just, by putting him in the horse box, taking him to, say, Newbury, walking around the paddock and come home again. That counts as nearly as a race for him. He will sweat like nothing on earth.
Does he?
I'm doing nothing.
Still?
When those first days of travelling and going to a race course at the beginning of the season, now hopefully he's settled, he travels, and he doesn't get himself in a tiz-was beforehand or travelling. But you have to get it out of the system by fooling him with days out that don't actually happen. One of the things that's really hit me this morning is that Nicky really listens to yourself, Matty.
He puts a lot of trust in the riders, and there's a lot of pressure on us going into these big days. But like you say, we haven't got really too far wrong yet, have we? On a Wednesday, he has an easy day, and he goes out there and he's like he does a dressage test around the field. And a couple of years ago, he would have never done that. So he's finally grown up eventually.
Is he easy to build up and down, relax after race and then build him back up?
He takes a couple of days, like he doesn't like having any time off.
No.
Hates it. Like over the Christmas this time, we've kept him going every day. And he's really enjoyed it. Whereas before, last year, he had 2 really hard races in the Tingle Creek, and he came out of it very quiet, and he really didn't like having his time off. Whereas this time, he had quite an easy 2 races, easy prep. So we kept him ticking over Christmas, and he's come out of Christmas really happy.
The most talked about horse, whether it be flat or jumps, is surely Constitution Hill. There's been so much said, so much written about him. Yet you must have been delighted with his performance at Kempton. Yeah, I mean, the most important thing is what he does on the racecourse. I mean, thank goodness at last the talking stopped and the action began. And, I think everybody rather hoped that we weren't going to go there unless we were properly ready. We were as ready as we could get without a race. And I think it's time for him to do the talking, which he did. We just had a frustrating year. Does it frustrate you, the media? I mean, you take a horse for a public gallop, and yet you get slated.
Well, you do. Yeah, I've been at it long enough to let most of it go over your head. I think the only thing that frustrates you when people don't believe you. I mean, you say you're doing this and that and the other, and they think we're making it up as we go along. We haven't. We tried to be as open as you could possibly be. unfortunate. I don't say unfortunate because I think it was a good thing with the gallop he had before Cheltenham last year, which did go badly wrong. But actually, we had invited everybody to attend, which they did, and consequently saw what happened. If that had happened at home or behind closed doors, again, I suspect nobody would have believed me. But there you go. They just said, well, he just doesn't want to run him, does he? Well, believe you me, we do. And we're there. And, we're back on track. So you can, we're trying to treat him as normally as possible.
Now, Matty, you are the envy of every member of stable staff in the country. You ride Constitution Hill every single day. What's he like as an individual?
He's the most straightforward horse you'll ever ride. He's got such a good head. That he never does anything over the top, saves a lot of energy. He's very, very laid back until you get stuck into him on the gallop, and he responds really well for you. When you say go, it's probably the best feeling I've ever had. Ever.
Really?
Yeah. And I've been lucky. I've ridden some nice horses here, Epatons and Bouvidaires in their time, and he's probably the best horse I've ever ridden and probably ever will.
And we saw what he did how disappointed he was in that gallop at Newbury.
Yeah.
Had he been going well up until then?
To be honest, he was in great form. I think we just underestimated, because if you look at him every day, he's he's a big boy, He never looks lean. He always carries a bit of condition. And we probably underestimated how heavy he was going into that gallop at Newbury.
He looks great in his skin, by the way, just changing the subject.
He looks fantastic. And ever since Newbury, he just turned a corner.
Really?
Yeah. He took a big blow that day. His work was unbelievable. We had a week off after he was lame. It was only a little niggly issue, and he was very, very fresh after that. Then it was a bit of a rush, but his work was fantastic. It was unbelievable. Back to his best. And then it was just a case of how fit can we get him for going to Kempton. We knew he'd take a blow, but we thought we had him fit enough to do himself justice, and he was very good.
He appears to win his races very well, but funny enough, we were talking to Matty, who rides him every day, and he said he does take, it does take quite a lot out of him when he runs,
He does, because of course he does. No horse can do what he's doing, and not. It might make it look easy, but it's still, that doesn't apply to any, an animal can win on the bridle. They're still putting in a huge amount. It's a misconception that, they've won on the bridle, they've had an easy race. There's a mental effect on them as well that you must never underestimate. But once you put them in a horse box and take them to the races, the clock is ticking.
And do you get Browned off? He's the most talked about horse because he's the best horse, obviously.
Yeah, it's
people seem to want to knock him, and Nicky, to be perfectly honest with you.
It's a little bit annoying, that he's never been injured, he's never been wrong. He just got an illness like any other horse could pick up. And people to say he's probably not at his best anymore, I just don't know how they can say that. He's beaten a very high class mare who's had a run, who's getting weight off us, and they can say she was flat or she didn't handle the track. Well, it's only going to be quicker at Cheltenham, so if she can't lay up with us that day, she'll be in trouble.
So what's the plan now going forward? He's obviously come out of Kempton. We saw him this morning. He looks absolutely magnificent. Where do we go next?
I think you just sort of watch him for another week. But he can go to Cheltenham for the Unibet hurdle. I think the sort of most likely route is to just stick to March and concentrate on that. He's not a terribly well named horse, because I don't think he's, for all his brilliance and his actually laid back nature, I don't think he's got the strongest constitution.
Does Michael Buckley, does he put any pressure on you to run? Or?
He certainly doesn't put pressure on. We talk about it loads. We've had an awful lot of time to talk about it, haven't we?
Yeah, exactly.
364 days to be exact. Yeah, of course we talk about it. You know, and we'll certainly want to be going somewhere. And I think both of us would probably like to go to Ireland after Cheltenham.
Oh, brilliant.
And I mean, he showed at Kempton how much pace he's got. He could go that gallop all day.
Is he the fastest horse in your yard?
I probably would be, yeah. And if Flossie can't go with him, then you know, it shows how quick they were going.
And it's Punchestown just to sort of to tick off the old list, is it?
I think so. I think he deserves it, and it's a terrific meeting. It's it's their champion hurdle. Let's go and be. You know, we can afford to be a bit more adventurous now, I hope.
Now, Sir Gino, who obviously we said worked better than him at Newbury, has been. He's always looked very, very good, but Kempton was breathtaking, really.
He was. I mean, it's extraordinary how it's come about. I mean, first of all, he's already won a Grade 1 hurdle this season.
Forget that, don't we?
Now 3 lengths over lump sum in second. Harvey is in third and been ridden out towards the line by Nico de Boinville. It is Sir Gino who maintains his perfect, unbeaten record. A record 9th win in the race for trainer Nicky Henderson.
And it's an extraordinary thing to do, win a Grade 1 over hurdles and then switch it to fences. I mean, you can obviously see the method in the madness. Joe Donnelly, I mean, admittedly, then the issue comes up that State Man might not be where he was expected to be. Half the point of Sir Gino going chasing was that Joe already had State Man in the wings for the champion hurdle. Does he need 2? Did we need 2? That doesn't matter. As far as ours are concerned, they're different owners, so they're entitled to take each other on. But it seemed a good idea at the time to switch him to chasing, having done it and now lost his novice status for next season anyway. It would seem a pity to go back to hurdling. I think Sir Gino is a sensible place to leave him down hopefully the Arkle road.
And he looks pretty bomb-proof. Is he easy to train? Is he
big horse? I mean, we would look at him the other day and say, well, actually, if he hadn't been in France at that age and already run and won a 3-year-old hurdle, if he'd have been born and bred in England, I suspect he'd, at the moment, just be coming up for a run in a bumper. I mean, I'm afraid to say that's what would happen. Nobody would have tried to train him as a 3-year-old. Big horse. And, chasing with him as a 4-year-old is just bringing the whole game 2 years forward. And that is the French style. It works. I think you just have the same window, but you start it earlier. And I think you'd have to sort of, unfortunately, conclude that it'll finish earlier.
Lucky Place, has he been a bit of a surprise package, is he, or not?
Well, he was meant to go novice chasing along with all these, we have got quite a lot of them, and I think they're a good bunch. He was going novice chasing, but I couldn't find, they were all trying to mix into the same races, 2.5 miles, basically. And it sort of appeared that, I don't know, that Ascot hurdle was sort of flashing little lights at me saying, well, that's quite tempted. It's big prize, 2.5 miles. Why don't we try that?
Golden Ace with the pale jacket is there as well. Behind these is Colonel Mustard. It's now Lucky Place in the yellow, and blue has the lead. Blue King to ruin the blue and pink, trying to fight back. They race towards the line. Lucky Place has won.
And he was very good there, which led us to think that the Relkeel was as far as hurdling is concerned, it was the right way to go. We even did think about the long walk, to be fair, over 3 miles. But we stayed at the 2.5. He won that well New Year's Day, and I think he has to stay over hurdles for this season anyway. He's still a young horse.
You do seem to have, you're overloaded almost with 2-milers over the years. That seems to be what comes out of Seven Barrows.
I don't know why. I mean, yeah, they arrive. We've bought most of them, I think. Yeah, it's extraordinary that we do seem to have we've had very good staying chases, long run and Bobsworth have won Gold Cups, and I mean the Grand National is the obvious thing that sort of makes us different.
Have you given up on that yet? Have you given up?
We're still sort of putting it as there as the one thing that needs sorting, but I can't quite see where. I mean, we could have a couple of entries this year, which was at least be an improvement on last year when I couldn't enter one.
What do you think could possibly be a Grand National horse?
Well, we've always thought Fantastic Lady. You know, she's just second in the top, and she's a wonderful jumper. She does stay. She stays 3 miles well now. She won the Oaksy Chase at the back end at Sandown last year, and if she got some good ground, I'd love to have a go. And I think the Joss and Nicky Henry family, I think there might be a little division in the household, but I hope that Joss and I want to have a go anyway.
And obviously, your whole season's geared around Cheltenham, and last year must have been, well, I'm sure it's immensely frustrating for you with the horses being as they were. But we need you, Nicky. We need you back and firing to hold off these pesky Irish.
Well, they are, aren't they? I mean, it wasn't long ago that we would completely, the English would, the Presbytery Trophy it was called, I mean, it was held by England. I had it here for quite a few years when, you know, we were seeing them off without any problems at all. I think the balance of power has definitely switched, but, you know, you say last year was frustrating because we knew we had the ammunition, but we couldn't use it. And it was, the timing was horrendous. And that's why actually, you know, when you say the horses do seem to be in great form over Christmas and the New Year period, you'd like to say, can we have Cheltenham in 3 weeks' time, please? You know, because we know they're absolutely, you know, they're firing.
But you've got a particularly strong hand this year, you know, with Jonbon, with Constitution, with Sir Gino, you know, with all these horses that are well, they're going to start off favourite anyway.
They could have. I mean, I think 3 of them would have probably been favourites last year. But what could you do? It would break your heart. But, you know, we had to just pull out and sit with it, sit through it. Wasn't much fun. Anyway, they're there now. Now, like everybody else, we've got to keep them and get them there. And so everybody thinks that, you know, the last few weeks before Cheltenham are horrible because it's so easy for things to go wrong. They're fickle things.